I'm Paige Alost. I'm the Executive Director of the Athens County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I've been in this position for about 13 years. And the Visitors Bureau represents the City of Athens and the entire county to visitors who would be interested in coming here as a place to have some fun, a weekend getaway, perhaps to visit the university, or to enjoy some of the beautiful outdoor recreation and scenery that we have. It's important to promote your project and your community because it's the best way for people to get an authentic look at what your community really represents. And hosting a project or an event in your community is a great way to show people outwardly what your community is passionate about, what their assets are, what your residents are involved in, and sort of bringing their community to light and engaging not just local residents but people who would visit. You don't need any marketing skills or a degree or even previous experience to really get into the fun of marketing your community and your event. And it all begins with communication. And the easiest way to begin that is to launch some social media and get your local residents involved in engaging with you online to tell a positive story about your community. But it really requires no special skills. And lucky for us, the Visitors Bureau and other community organizations serve as assets to the communities in this endeavor, and that you can call upon us to ask us how to do certain things, how to set up social media accounts, how to create and get flyers distributed, how to create rat cards or maps or tours of your community. So we serve as an asset to be able to help the communities to engage in marketing, knowing that they don't have to have a full skill set to do it. Some do's and don'ts when it comes to communicating about your community or about an event is, number one, keep it positive. There's a lot of negative news that's out there, and sometimes there's news out about our region about things that we don't have and that people view that we need to have in order to be successful. Tell the authentic, positive story of your community and what you're doing with the assets and the resources and the people that you have right now. Keep it positive. I think the second rule of thumb is to be authentic, to tell the true story of your community. And that always begins with people. Every community has someone doing something of interest or something of value to other local residents. And those are good, authentic stories to tell that help the outside world to see what really makes your community tick. But you've got to keep it authentic. We have really engaged in the storytelling aspect. Really talking to people about what it's like to be in the region. And we do that in a couple of ways. We do it through great stories about people who live here, who own businesses, or who are doing amazing things in our community. But we also do it through strong images, strong photographs. And this is something that every community has a resource to do. I think almost every community in our region has at least one local photographer who has a great collection of photographs of their community. This is the best way to show people what a place looks like that they've never been to before. And so you can really tell a strong story about your community with 0 words, but one really strong image, even if it's a photograph of a person. These are the things that pique people's interest. And if you're only doing one thing like social media, if that's your first endeavor into marketing, then that visual storytelling is going to be really crucial for you in showing people what your community is like. We also encourage people to engage in the local media. We have a couple of great local newspapers here, and we have a lot of great student writers who are always looking for unique stories to tell. Reach out to a class group at Ohio University or Hocking College. Reach out to the newspaper and tell them about what is happening in your community and see what you can do to get them to write a story about you. This is what we call earned media. And it's called that because you earn it, you don't pay for it. And this is sometimes the best way to reach a really broad audience to tell your story. So whether you're promoting an event or whether you just want to tell about a unique business that's opening, or the story of a local veteran, or the story of something that your school is attempting to accomplish, reach out to the local media, because they're a great resource in our community and they're always looking for good stories to tell. The press release has been a time-honored tool of anyone involved in marketing and communications, and it still stands true today. But I wouldn't limit yourself to that. Those relationships that you have with people at the media mean that you can pick up the phone and actually call them. And in a small community like ours, this is a much more valuable tool to you than just a press release. Our news organizations here get press releases all day long, every day. And if you ship them to the bigger newspapers in Columbus or Cincinnati or down into the West Virginia market, same thing, they're getting lots of those. Make that relationship. And it's easy through an email, it's easy with a phone call, or it's easy sometimes when you just happen to make a connection with someone. Perhaps you see a similar story on the news that relates to what you're doing. Make the connection. That connection could really pay off for you. So when it comes to marketing, whether you're promoting an event or whether you're just promoting your community in general, it's really crucial to identify a toolbox to work with. And by toolbox, we mean a set of actual tools that you're going to use to accomplish your goals. So we could say first tool would be social media, and determining which platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which of those platforms are you going to engage in. The second thing would be to have an earned media tool, knowing that you have someone on your team who is going to be reaching out to local media, helping to tell the story of your event or your community, and establishing and continuing those relationships. And then C, looking at your resources to create printed products. So whether it's a poster or a rack card or a postcard or a save the date card, having someone who can design that and perhaps a resource that can help you print it and get it distributed. Keep your toolbox efficient. You can't do all of it, but base it on your budget and the skill set that you have in your community, and stick to it. Set goals for each one of those toolboxes, each one of those tools that you have, and then put them to work. Defining a target audience is both fun and not fun at the same time, because sometimes you feel like if you define a target audience, then are you limiting yourselves to other audiences? So we always look at primary audiences, secondary audiences, and tertiary audiences. And for us, identifying your primary audience should be easy. And it doesn't always mean that it's your local community. So if you're hosting an event, look at people who would be interested in the kinds of things that you will be hosting at your event. So not just looking at those resources and audiences that exist in your own community, but looking in your region. And sometimes it's best to look at the map and draw a 30-mile radius or a 60-mile radius, and then begin to identify where are those communities where populations exist of people who are going to be interested in what you're doing. Those secondary audiences are often the people who will come along with the primary audience. And sometimes they're people in your own community who maybe have never attended a community event before, or maybe never engaged with something in promoting your community, but you're bringing them in for the first time. And so they're almost as important as your primary audience, because they're the ones who are most likely to be well surprised by their experience. And they're most likely to have a stronger takeaway than someone who's going to be automatically familiar with what you're offering. Those tertiary audiences are people that you get at the last minute. Oh my gosh, the weather's beautiful. I want to get out this weekend. I see this event is going on in this great small town. I'm going to try it. But those people are still super important to your event or communicating about your community, because again, a great opportunity to really surprise someone with a unique story of your community. When you're hosting an event or when you're engaging people to learn more about your community, you want ways in which they can participate in the conversation. So remember, if we go back to our toolbox, we say social media is always one of the easiest, fastest ways to open up a conversation or a dialogue about what you're trying to accomplish. So give people a way to respond to you on social media. Create your own unique hashtag. Make sure they understand if you have a website or a social media channel that you're using, that they know they can go to that and post their pictures and tag themselves at your event. But encourage them while they're in market, while they're at your event, while they're in your community, to engage with you. And also, if you're just getting into this for the first time, ask for feedback. Find people who really enjoy coming to your community, who will tell you about what their experience was like. What was their takeaway? What was that experience or feeling or memory? Did they buy something? What was it that they took away from your community that they're going to keep and will use as a catalyst to tell the story of their visit with you to someone else? It's really important to keep the conversation going. So maybe you're thinking about hosting an event, but one of the hardest things about hosting an event in a small community that's maybe not done it before is that you don't have an outside relationship with the people that might come to visit you. So you've got to find a way to start and keep going a positive conversation about your community. I'll use Amesville as an example because I do follow them on Facebook, and they talk about positive things that are happening there. They also talk about whether or not Route 329 is clear or someone's dogs are loose. You get a feel of what's happening in that community, but they also give you the full schedule of what's happening, what's being served at local restaurants, what parks are open, who's performing local music, when is there a gathering, what is the fire department doing. And you know what, those are small town America conversations that people love to read. But you've got to have that relationship formed out there. And really using social media, using Facebook and Instagram, and again, using it as a positive platform to tell the story of your community is hugely important. Here's what happens in the meantime, though. People begin to see your message. They begin to buy into the fun and the love of your community. They begin to see the positive things that are happening there, and they'll want to be a part of it. And so this communication doesn't necessarily have to be tourism communication, but just positive communication about your community piques people's interest, and it makes them wonder, hey, is that a good place to live? Are those really great schools? Because it looks like the kids are having fun. That looks really beautiful there. Can I see myself there? And people begin to see your community as an opportunity. And that's really the end goal for all of these things that we're doing with the Community Challenge Project. How will people see your community? What will you communicate to them that will inspire them to learn more about you and perhaps form a lasting relationship? We're so excited to be a part of the Community Challenge Project, and the growth that we've seen and the impact that this project is having on our small communities has been amazing to watch over the course of the last couple of years. And we hope that it continues to inspire people. We know that we have small teams working right now, but we want to continue to encourage you to reach out to every corner of your community. Every walk of life in your community has something to offer to tell your story. Young people in your local schools, they're sometimes the best storytellers of what it's really like to live in your community. People who are working on events, offer your support, even if it's just something simple like distributing flyers or offering your Wi-Fi to someone to be able to use to update social media, or reaching out to use your contacts in the community to promote your event or tell your story. But continue to look at every corner of your community and know that in turn you're inspiring our organization. You're inspiring our visitors. You're inspiring our hotel partners and restaurant partners to continue to believe that Southeast Ohio is untapped, unlimited in its potential. And really, to me, we always say the other Ohio, but it really is a part of Ohio that, to me, offers something that is so unique and so different, really, from the rest of the Midwest. So this is your opportunity. Get in the game, continue to tell your story, keep it positive and authentic, and know that you're inspiring others as you do it.